Hey everyone, this is Bridget, and today I wanted to talk to you about motivation. It is one of my favorite topics because I'm a highly motivated person. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And so I know that a lot of people are challenged by that and just can't get that gusto to go forth into whatever they want, or just to have the inspiration to just get out of bed. So I have 5 simple steps that have helped me to be motivated in life. Number one is purpose, a sense of purpose. What the heck, what's the direction you're going in your life? That's the number one thing, because if there's not a reason to get out of bed in the morning, then why should you, right? It makes sense. There's not a motivating factor to go forth. So figuring out your purpose and your passion, that thing that fuels you, is the fire that will light up under your ass to get going. And so that's my biggest thing. So they're really directly correlated, motivation and purpose. They go hand in hand. So next week's video is actually going to be all dedicated to how to discover your purpose. So I'll kind of leave that more till next week. But the first thing is purpose. What is the thing that drives you? What is your soul mission? And that's the thing, is once you're in alignment with that, you have a reason to live. You have a reason to be. And there's nothing more motivating than that, because then you know what to do and you feel valuable, and so you want to do something and to express yourself. So purpose is number 1. Number 2 is environment. So who you surround yourself by is what you become. Where you are is what you become. Whatever you're desiring to be motivated in, it could be to get fit, it could be to eat healthier, it could be inspiration to finally do this passion that you've always wanted to do. It might be to go, get this girl that you've always been attracted to. So that motivation. Now, proximity is going to really help in whatever category this is. When you surround yourself by people that are already motivated, doing those things, you naturally, just by the nature of the morphogenetic field, are going to also go forth and do those things too. And I've seen this real time with living in our community house. If there's people that come in and they're less strict on the diet, they start, making, having chocolate bars and making all different kinds of things. Even me, who is highly motivated to be healthy and to stay on that path, and it's just a natural thing for me, I started going, oh, okay, I'll have a little bit of that. Okay, I'll start eating more cooked food. And so there can be a proximity where certain environmental things can start pulling you down, but there's ones that can uplift you. Like right now in our house, I make these videos, and this has motivated Patrick and Sandra and all these people around me to start making videos, to start expressing themselves. So just by that proximity, it has helped raise people up. So right now, if you're in the stage of just getting motivated yourself, that's okay. Just put yourself in environments that people are already doing that. And eventually, hopefully, you can be the motivating one that then pulls and helps and assists other people in getting motivated in what they want to do. So this environment also goes with the environment of the place. So if you are wanting to, say, get more fit, go to a gym where people are highly motivated and going for it. Get yourself a mentor or a group that is brainstorming new business ideas and are highly entrepreneurial. Putting yourself in those zones will shift your whole energy field and make available solutions for you to take the next steps and to really start in that way, in that direction. So my third tip is support. Now, this kind of seems similar to environment, but it's not. Support is having a cheerleader, having someone that's a fan and can totally got your back on whatever you want to do. And this is different than an environment. Environment is something that's already naturally happening. They don't care if you're doing it or not, because they're just going to go for it. But support is someone that's a best friend, that might be a workout buddy, that might be an entrepreneurial, successful business person that then is like, yeah, I can support you in this. So having support to go forth in the things that you want is super important. And to be able to get support, you have to then communicate what it is that you want. So becoming aware of it, which kind of goes back to step 1, which is purpose, is key. key, and I kind of left that as an assumption, but really being clear on what it is that you do want, that's going to be the first thing. And then once you know what that is, you can call in the support. And you might not have support right now, but the support will start appearing once you're clear. The clarity will shift your reality so that people will come in that can do that. And having support might be someone that wants to go start a business with you or wants to go work out with you. And so having that accountability factor is going to be really helpful. That's one of the things that's been really helpful for me, and it's also been kind of stressful, so don't go too far with it. But if I set myself deadlines, or if I go, I'm gonna go swim with dolphins in Bimini, boom, and I just like set it out there, and then I also publicly say it, then there's an accountability factor where I kind of have to do it. So that's one of the ways that I motivate myself. I'm like, I'm gonna do 2 videos every Tuesday, and then it's like, okay, I have no choice. I already put it out there. It's public. But if you never say it, then you aren't responsible for it. And so it's important to say it, because then you are responsible for it, and then you can also have the support that'll help you. So find your cheerleader. I was a cheerleader in high school, as you could probably feel by my vibe, and I'm just so into it because people really thrive with support. And of course, again, once you get to a point where you feel supported, remember to always then give back that support and just be a cheerleader for other people. The next step, number 4, is to take action immediately. So procrastination is often associated with motivation, right? It's like, oh, I'm not motivated, so then I'm procrastinating, and this whole spiral of weirdness comes together, and it's just no good. So the first way to get motivated is once you know what you want to do, once you've clarified that, once you're in alignment with your purpose, with something that really drives you, and you have the support, you got all this stuff going on, the first thing to do when this clarity comes to you is to take one action step. I don't care how baby it is. So I keep on doing the exercise ones, but it's kind of easy. So for instance, I want a better body. Get on the ground right now as you're watching this, if that's one of yours, and start doing sit-ups. Just do 10 sit-ups. Just start doing something, and that'll help. It might be a song that you wanted to write. It might be like an idea for a blog. It could be anything. Just if that's the case, grab a piece of paper right now as you're watching this video, and you can use me as support right now, holding this space for you to go forth into this. So grab your piece of paper and say, okay, I have this idea, this inspiration to like start a clothing line, whatever it is, and just start writing it. Just write it. So the physicalization is what an action step is. And this also could be getting an accountability partner. So right now, maybe get on Facebook and write your best friend and be like, okay, we're going to do a 3-day cleanse, or something like that. Whatever it is, just take one step. Because once you take one step, it grounds it, it rearranges all of the energy in your being, it changes who you are, and then the next step goes, and the next step goes, and all of a sudden you have the support of momentum, and momentum is the best thing in the world because it just becomes rapid fire. And once you get good at this, you just have too much motivation, you have too much inspiration, and then that's a good problem, as Tony Robbins likes to say. So speaking of Tony Robbins, the next point that I wanted to make is that body postures and how you hold yourself, how you identify yourself to be, is who you are. And Tony is the shit. Tony rocks this. I've been to some of his events like back in the day when I was like 20, and they were awesome. I mean, everyone was like on their chairs, dancing, moving, and there's a reason, because if you think of yourself as someone that's not motivated, what is the posturing? What is the way of being of that person? Well, you would imagine them in pajamas. You would imagine them like can't get out of bed, maybe like TV on, like kind of just like dim, maybe in a dark room. Like there's kind of these associations that you can start to come up with. Now you think of a motivated person. What is that person? That person is confident, standing strong. They're always doing awesome things. They're usually like bright and happy and smiling, and they're also usually clean and kind of put together and got their shit together. So what you can do, even if you're not, say, that person yet, is one, start erasing the identification that you've placed on yourself. So it's maybe like, oh, I just can never, get myself to eat well. I just always go for the chocolate bar. It's like, okay, no. Now, in this moment, you're a new person. We're talking about this. You have support now. I'm your support. And you are a person that is healthy. You're a person that takes care of yourself. You're a person that loves yourself. So what are you going to do? Doesn't mean you can't have treats, but you get my point. So that person is now a person that is healthy. So what do you do? What would that person do? And it's really standing in the shoes of someone who that would be. And the modeling is a great idea. It's modeling who you want to become, and kind of getting a space of something to go towards is going to be helpful if you just don't have any clue. So what would that person do? If I was that person that was healthy, if I was that person that was motivated, if I was that person that was passionate about life, how would I start my day? Well, I would wake up and I would get out of bed and maybe I would go like have a juice or go for a run, or I would get excited and start like journaling or writing, whatever that is. And the sixth and final tip from me is the idea of cycles. So one of the women that I did social media for back in the day, Sophie she's great. She has a TED Talk, so I'll put the link below. But she talked about this modeling that she came up with, which is working with cycles. We all know that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. So what happens in the motivation circle is that there's somewhere within that cycle that we have gotten stifled, where we haven't gone through, and so there's a break point in our cycle, which then lets us create all the way to fruition. So right now, just tap into what is something that you've been not motivated to do, or you can't quite complete, whatever it is, and notice where you are on this cycle of completion or not completion. See where you are. Are you someone who is really bad at starting things, or are you great at starting things, you can keep going, and then you can't finish? Just be aware of where you are on the cycle, and that in and of itself, just becoming aware of where you are, will help shift it, will help rearrange all of this so that you can then keep this cycle going. Now that you have this awareness, take a step back and kind of look from a broader scope of maybe where this originated from. For me, I had trouble finishing things. I could not finish things. There was no refinement. Like, I would paint paintings, but then I would never paint the edges and frame them and then sell them. They were just lingering on. And so what was this thing? And it's in all categories. It's like, oh, maybe I have trouble finishing or following through with relationships, whatever it is. And for me, this was due to a birth trauma, actually, because my mom was drugged when she had me. So at the final stage, when I was coming out, when I was completing this cycle, I was drugged and couldn't quite consciously complete it. And so this is an overlaying pattern to which all actions, all cycles in my life came forth from. And so you could kind of look at your birth cycle and see where that happened. Maybe it was hard for you to come into this life. Maybe you're a sensitive being, and so it's hard to start. Maybe you weren't wanted, coming in, and so that made it challenging too. Just see where you are, and don't get too caught up in the story, but just kind of see why maybe these cycles are arranging themselves. And then once you understand, once you know, then use all the tips that I've given you in this video to support yourself in getting through that stage of the cycle that's challenging. Maybe it's just starting, that it's just so hard. It's like, okay, let's get support, let's influence, let's get motivation. And most of all, when you're starting these cycles, when you want this motivation to do something, if it's in alignment with your purpose, it's much easier to go through the whole cycle. So there's some things maybe you didn't ever finish, or maybe you didn't ever start. Maybe that's for a reason. Maybe it's because it wasn't truly in alignment with you. So acknowledge that as a possibility too. So I've loved talking to you about motivation. It's one of my favorite topics. If you have any questions or suggestions or things that could help other people, let's comment below so that we can help each other in this. Let's use this as like a support system right here, that we can do it together, and post what you're motivated to do now that you might not have had the gusto to do before. So share this with your friends, subscribe if you like these videos, and next week we'll be talking about purpose, because that's such an important part to motivation. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.